rage, stay in your lane, turn the page, but something woke up deep inside, a stronger voice, a wilder ride. I've paid my dues, I know my worth, I've fallen down, I've had rebirth. Now I'm standing in my truth, not chasing time, I'm choosing me. I've got wisdom in my bones, fire in my soul. This isn't the ending, this is the moment I take control. Life gets better after 40, clearer vision, brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40's forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me.
Let's talk about something no one else is talking about enough. Men over 40. So men over 40, dad bod, they're tired, they're gaining weight, their motivation is dropping, and their sex drive isn't what it used to be. And many of them are being told this is just aging. But what if it's not just aging? What if it's your hormones? So today we're going to be diving deep into testosterone in midlife men, what it is, why it matters, and what happens when it drops, and what you can actually do about it. Because just like menopause exists for women, guess what, men, you have your own version, and this is called andropause. So I'm Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. Welcome to 40s Forward, because after the age of 40, it is not a decline. It's an opportunity for reinvention. So let's start. What is testosterone? So first, let's take a look. Testosterone is the primary male sex hormone, but it's so much more than just sex drive and libido. It impacts muscle mass, fat distribution, bone density, mood, energy, brain function, confidence, motivation, and drive. I like to call testosterone the vitality hormone. It makes men feel strong, focused, and engaged in life. So then what is happening after the age of 40? So around the age of 30, testosterone begins to decline. We also, around the age of 30, we have some other things that are happening. We are starting to decline our muscle mass. So we start to lose about 8% of muscle mass every decade of life after the age of 30. And testosterone and muscle mass often go hand in hand. So after the age of 30, we start to see about 1 to 2% decline in testosterone per year. So by the time men hit their 40s and 50s, this is when they're starting to really, really feel it. So the energy is dropping. They start to get that dad bod, that belly fat is increasing. They may be working out like they always have, and nothing is looking right. They're getting maybe some of those little love handles, the back fat, even the man boobs, all starting to happen around this time. So the muscles are starting to decrease. Libido is starting to decline. And the mood may shift towards irritability or even depression. And here's the key. This is not just psychological. This is biochemistry. So what is andropause? Well, andropause is often called the male menopause, but it's different. So unlike women who have a rapid hormone drop, men experience a little bit more of a gradual decline unless there is a sudden stressor or unless there's an illness or inflammation. So as I say in all my podcasts, sex and stress can't coexist. So the way our hormones are processed from cholesterol often is vilified, but in a nice relaxed state, cholesterol will come down the pathway and be made into our sex hormones. Or if the body's under stress, whether that's emotional stress or inflammatory stress, that cholesterol will come down and it'll make a turn and go down cortisol street. So now it's being made into cortisol, and that's our stress hormone, in tiny little itty bitty bursts. That's not a bad thing, but chronic stress will really suck away that hormone and our testosterone. So this is even where supplementation with testosterone, if you're under too much stress or inflammation, it will just back convert and go back into your cortisol. So what are the symptoms of andropause? So they can include things like low libido, erectile dysfunction, fatigue, brain fog, depression, anxiety, irritability, loss of muscle, increased body fat, poor sleep. And here's the big problem. When I tell patients that, or when I tell people I meet that I have a menopause andropause clinic, most people go, I've heard of menopause, but what in the world is andropause? And we start going through those symptoms. I will tell you, most men are like, oh my God, I think I have andropause. And so the awareness around andropause, or this low testosterone, or you may have even heard of low T, that this awareness isn't around there. So as much as I love the fact that we're talking more and more about menopause, we also need to be talking about what's happening in our men. So because men just don't recognize it. Most doctors don't even test for it or think about looking for it early enough. And so let's also talk about some differences between low versus high testosterone. So low testosterone, that can lead to fatigue, weight gain, low motivation, decreased strength, reduced sexual performance, mood changes. Now, where are the health risks? The health risks are coming in that you can develop metabolic syndrome. So this increases your risk of diabetes, heart disease, stroke. You can develop insulin resistance, also affecting diabetes, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis. And so the other thing is, we also, let's say you are a man over the age of 30, 40 and beyond, we need to look at, is this really andropause, or are there other medical conditions causing hypogonadism? Hypo meaning low, and the gonadism meaning the hormones of testosterone. So this is something where, just going online and throwing in your information into one of these hormone mills, it's really missing some key nuances that need to be looked at when we're looking at hormones. So what happens also with high testosterone? So sometimes we're seeing people are getting too much, or they're being mismanaged. Or maybe they're getting their testosterone from less than reputable sources, like at the gym. So this is important because more is not always better, because excessive testosterone can increase red blood cell count and potentially clot risks. If you have sleep apnea, there's worsening of sleep apnea. And with sleep apnea, there's more stress on the system and a risk of sudden death. Aggression, mood swings, fertility suppression, possibly prostate concerns. So there's still some debate about how to monitor it and whether testosterone really is affecting that. Just some of the nuances, it's how people process their testosterone, and it's if they're developing too much of one of the byproducts that can add to more issues with prostate. So balance is going to be really important, because extremes are not the goal. Balance is the goal, because hormones in balance are going to work well and are not going to put you at a higher risk for all the side effects. Also, guess what? Too much testosterone can cause testicular shrinkage. Yep, I did say that. They can shrink the testicles. So there is a risk of the testicles decreasing in volume with too high testosterone for too long. So all things that need to be monitored. So how is testosterone tested? Well, testing is where many people get misled. So you don't want to look just at the total testosterone. So total testosterone is what's in your system, but if some of that testosterone is bound by a hormone called sex hormone binding globulin, your body's not going to see it. So we need to know, what is your total testosterone? What is the sex hormone binding globulin, which is a protein that can hold on to an extra testosterone, which will actually go up when you start supplementing with testosterone. And then we need to look at the free testosterone. So these are some of the key labs. And we also need to look at estradiol and estrogen levels, estriol, estrone, because testosterone will convert into your estrogens, and we see this more in andropause. And this is where sometimes men will get breast development of breast tissue. So the fact that we don't want the testosterone to be going into estrogen, and we need to be seeing what's going on with that. We may even look at LH and FSH. So this is luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, and they are signs of whether the pituitary is signaling properly. Another thing I like to look at is DHEA and DHEAS. So these are precursors, because in some people I've found that they're making enough DHEA, their pituitary gland is telling them like, make more hormones, and they're making it, and it's the precursor hormone DHEA is being produced, but there's some kind of disconnect, miscommunication between the conversion of that DHEA into the testosterone. And like I always say, cortisol is going to be very, very important, because too much cortisol, too much stress, is just going to suck away all the wonderful testosterone that your body is trying to make. So also, testing is also key, because when is the best time to test for testosterone? It's in the morning, because testosterone typically peaks between 7 and 10 a.m. So also, one test is not enough. It may fluctuate. Now, serum blood testing will give us a snapshot in time, what your labs were like when it was drawn. But if you're going to do serum testing, we need to follow your results over time. So this is going to be really important, because stay tuned. There is an app coming out that we are developing where you can put in your symptoms, your labs, and you can get a pure picture of what's going on with your body and your hormones. Because also, labs don't tell the whole picture. They give guidance. They're not the hard truth, because labs also get reported based on averages for that lab. So the lab ranges are based on what that laboratory sees. And something that may look low for you, in fact, that might be a normal level for you, and your body's responding normally. So we need to really kind of take the whole picture into, look at it and understand it, is that we need to look at the symptoms. What stressors are you going through? What's your gut microbiome? I mean, I've seen so many patients where their gut microbiome is affecting their testosterone. So this is where just taking hormones doesn't always fix the problem unless we look at everything. Interesting enough, there was a study that showed that men in the northern hemisphere have higher testosterone in August and September, and lower testosterone in January and February. And these low testosterones are directly related to morbidity and mortality, meaning death and dying and illness. So why is that men in like North America, in European countries, have the higher testosterone around those times of the year? It could be related to sun exposure and vitamin D production. That is a possibility. There may be a biologic advantage, because if men's testosterone are higher during that time, and let's say they are impregnating a female in August and September, that pregnancy would then carry through the fall, through the winter, and giving birth into the spring. So in the northern hemisphere, that may make sense. So interesting. I have not seen the flip study done in the southern hemisphere, but I kind of wonder if we'd see the same results. So how is testosterone supplemented? So let's say you're low, your levels are low and your symptoms are present. And now it's like, all right, let's do some kind of therapy. So testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, you may hear it be called. And they also try to get away from the word replacement, more of like a supportive type of word, but the nuances of the language, let's put aside. So this may be considered, and the different forms. They're injections. So injections, they're long-acting and short-acting injections. So this would be using a needle to place either subcutaneously, so under the skin or into the muscle, either daily, weekly, or every 12 weeks. So there's multiple types of injections and length of how long they work. There are pellets. Pellets are like little tablets that can be implanted under the skin, and they dissolve over, in general, a period of 3 months. Some people metabolize them slower, some people faster. There are topical creams and gels. So this is where it's absorbed transdermally through the skin. Some of the risks with the transdermals, it can rub off on friends, family, pets, depending on where you put it. So the idea is if you have a cream, not to put it on your forearms, which might rub off on other people. Put it in a place where the skin is thin and maybe not as readily exposed. So inner thighs, lower abdomen. There is oral forms of hormones. I am less likely I do not prescribe the orals. I am not happy with the oral medicines. One of the problems with the oral medicine is that it needs to go through the liver before that hormone presents to the body. So it absorbs out of the intestines, goes through the liver, and now presents to the body. So it can be a little harsh on the liver, and also we need to be doing much higher doses so that whatever gets processed through the liver, there's enough left on the other side for the body to see it. But my advice, you got enough other options. I would highly recommend staying away from oral forms of testosterone. So what are the benefits that people see? Increased energy, improved libido, better muscle mass, improved mood, cognitive clarity, so better brain function. What are some of the risks? Well, suppression of your natural production of testosterone, fertility reduction. So if you're planning on having babies or you want to impregnate somebody, not the ideal time to be on testosterone. You definitely need to be monitoring labs. We need to be monitoring symptoms. We need to look at estrogen conversion. We need to be seeing and following with a doctor for prostate health. So this is definitely not a set it and forget it therapy. It does require precision medicine and follow-up. And it's also not a panacea. None of the hormones are panacea. It's not like, once again, going online, put your information in, and now all of a sudden this hormone shows up at your door, because there are nuances to get how that body can use that hormone better, and preparing the body so that you're not wasting your money and that the hormones you are taking are actually working. So if you find yourself listening to this and be like, oh, I did hormones and they didn't work for me. It's not that the hormones didn't work. It's that your body wasn't prepared for those hormones to be utilized properly. And that's what needs to be done. And that's where the art of medicine comes in. So do you even need testosterone? So this is a question everyone asks. And the answer is not always. You may not need testosterone if your levels are borderline, but symptoms are mild. Your lifestyle is poor. So this is key. So, if you're getting testosterone, if your lifestyle is poor, you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're not exercising properly. If you take testosterone, you might not use it the way it needs to be. So you really need to make sure that you're addressing root causes of inflammation and stress for those hormones to work properly. Because sometimes it could be the symptoms are just fixing some of those root causes. Let's say hydration, brain fog is the number one cause, one of the number one side effect of being dehydrated. So it may not be that you need testosterone, it may just be you need more fluids. So this is where you need to find a practitioner that can look at the whole picture and give you something that's going to work the best with your body. And also, it's a personal decision. Not everybody wants hormones, and that's perfectly fine. So once again, remember, those symptoms, it isn't always an issue of testosterone. We need to look at what's suppressing the hormone, the hormone and your testosterone. So here's the other thing. Let's say you're like, I don't want to do hormone therapy. How can you raise testosterone naturally? Well, this is where integrative medicine really shines. So our top strategies are strength training. So resistance training boosts testosterone significantly. Sleep optimization. So poor sleep equals lower testosterone. So you want to aim for 7 to 8 hours. Weight loss. Excessive fat will convert testosterone into estrogen. And so we don't want it. We want testosterone to stay as testosterone. So this is where weight loss may come in. Stress reduction, ding-a-ling-ding. That is the big one. Pay attention to that stress reduction, because high cortisol will suppress your testosterone and it will steal the testosterone. Nutrition. So we want to focus on healthy fats. Cholesterol is the backbone of hormones. Cholesterol is not always the bad guy, so we need healthy fats. Zinc. Many people are low in zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and making sure we're getting proper forms of zinc and magnesium. Like magnesium glycinate is going to be more readily available than a magnesium oxide. Zinc carnosine, zinc piconolate are going to be a little bit better than a zinc oxide. Vitamin D levels. And reducing toxins. And now we can't get away from everything in our environment, but not drinking out of plastics as much, staying away from endocrine disruptors that are often found in insecticides and pesticides and non-organic foods. So going with one of some more organic foods. Alcohol, decreasing alcohol. Alcohol can raise estrogen levels and can really suck away that that testosterone, plus it throws off your gut microbiome, which could also throw off libido and stress and cause worsening stress and affect testosterone levels. Sexual activity. Yes, this actually helps maintain testosterone levels. And as I always say, sexual activity, whether it's partnered or by yourself, is also your pelvic physical therapy. So not only can it help maintain hormone levels, but it helps with pelvic floor health. So what are also the alternatives to testosterone? So if you don't want testosterone therapy, there are some alternatives. Sometimes from a medication standpoint, there's things like clomiphene, which can help stimulate natural production of testosterone. There is HCG, or human chorionic growth hormone. This helps support testicular function. It's often used specifically in men with low testosterone who are trying to be fertile. There's also some herbal support. Now, once again, you may be listening to this. It's not like listen to this podcast and go out and get these things, because there are nuances and you really should be followed by a health practitioner to make sure that these products are right for you. But things like ashwagandha, it's an adaptogen. It helps with cortisol levels. Tongkat Ali, another herbal. Fenugreek. Fenugreek is usually what you see in all those commercials online, like with Testofen, these low T commercials. It's usually a fenugreek product. So these can all support your body rather than replace its function. So here's what I want you to take away. Testosterone decline is very common, but it's not something you have to accept. There are solutions from lifestyle to advanced therapies, and the goal is not just higher numbers. It's feeling like yourself again. More energy, more drive, more confidence, more connection. Because midlife isn't the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of optimization. So if you're a man over 40, or if you love one who's over 40, it's time to stop guessing and start testing. So head on over to the Pause Institute. That's pause, like stop, like menopause, andropause. So it's PAUSE institute.com. And apply to schedule your consultation today. And let's create a personalized plan to help you. We're going to help you look great, feel great, and perform your best in and out of the bedroom. Stay tuned, stick around, share this with anybody who needs it, and come back for more on the 40s Forward podcast.
Life gets better after 40, clearer vision, brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40s forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me. We got wisdom, we got fire, we got nothing left to prove. This is power, this is freedom, this is living fully you. Life gets better after 40. This is where I rise and shine. 40's forward, full of purpose. I'm stepping into my